Okay, don't come at me. Serious question. How many of you are fearful of the upcoming election, and how many of you are excited, and how many of you are neutral? I'm not asking anybody who they're voting for, nothing like that. I just have some bottled up emotions that I don't really want to get out on TikTok and cause all kind of chaos. But I'm tense. I'm tense, guys. I don't know how you're feeling, but I'm tense. Let me know in the comments. How are you feeling? What do you think's going to happen? I don't know what to think's going to happen to all of us, to our families. I'm very fearful. We've had a rough 4 years, and I don't know. I would love to see everything get better and get better in a hurry for all of us. But let me know your comments and where you stand right now. What are you feeling? Your feelings. Like I said, I have some bottled up emotions. I'm tense. I'm fearful. I can think of many, many adjectives to describe how I'm feeling. So, how are you feeling? Or do you just not even care? Do you not vote? I really hope you do, because it really has a lot to do with what happens to every one of us. So if you're not going to vote, please get signed up for next time.
I know you're worried. I'm worried too. So many of my friends are reaching out like, what are we going to do? Just getting so anxious because we're leading up to Election Day. I'm going to stop worrying. I want you to stop worrying. I want us all to stop worrying. And I want to tell you something that I think may be helpful, because I realized something that my mother said years ago that is just so brilliant. You've met my mother. You've heard about my mother and her brilliance. I was about 16. Bear with me. I was about 16. I was dating this guy. He was super cute, nice body. He was edgy and popular and blah, blah, blah. He was going nowhere, though. He had no ambition. He was kind of rough around the edges. And my mother hated him. And she would do all sorts of things to try to get in the way of the relationship and help me to know that, this was not the guy for me. Probably in my heart of hearts, I knew. We didn't make any sense on paper. So to give you the contrast in who I was student council president. I was captain of this. I was an honor student from a good home and on my way to college, and we didn't make any sense. But I was drawn to him. I just was. But one day, in her brilliance, I don't know if she knew how brilliant this was. I really don't. I should ask her that. But she said to me, you know what, Deirdre? I am going to stop talking to you about him. And I'm going to let you do whatever you think is best for you, because I know that my daughter knows who she is and what she's worth. And I know that you're going to make the best decision for yourself. I don't know why that was so brilliant. I don't remember exactly what I felt in that moment, but I so clearly remember it being a pivot point, and something about her saying that to me empowered me. And fast forward, dumped him, never looked back. But it was just so affirming. And so, like my mother said to that 16-year-old girl who was attracted to the boy who was rough around the edges, I'm going to say to America, he's not the guy. We've been trying to convince you. We've been showing you his performance record. We've been showing you his character or lack thereof. We've been telling you to listen to the long cast of people who've been up close, center, and had a front row seat to all of his misdeeds and all of the dangerous behavior that he exhibited as leader before. We've been putting a mountain of evidence in front of you. And you're just like, la, 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 la. Sort of like I was, that rebellious 16-year-old girl. But I'm not going to worry anymore. I don't think we should worry anymore. I think that America knows that he is not the guy. I believe that, yes, while there are people that are in his camp and who are going to be unmoved, that the overwhelming majority of people at the end of the day, when we count up the votes November 5th or 6th or 7th or whenever we finish tallying the votes, that America is going to do the right thing and break up with this clown.
Hi guys, my name's Rotimi. I'm a college student at UNC. I'm a Jeopardy champion and I grew up in Alabama. This year, I'll be voting in my very first presidential election, and I'll be casting my vote for Kamala Harris. Here's why. So many of my friends are still living at home after college or just staying with friends because it's too expensive to buy a home right now. I support down payment assistance programs and regulating the big corporations who are buying up homes and driving up prices for everybody else. I also trust women to make decisions about their own bodies. I don't think it's right at all for the government to be telling women like my sisters, my friends, my neighbors what they should be doing with their own uteruses. It's okay if you have your own religious preferences or personal preferences, but again, I really don't believe it's a place for the government to tell you what to do with your own body. I'm also super tired of seeing tax cuts that mostly benefit the wealthy or the people who literally need them the least. It's kind of absurd that I as a teenager is paying more in taxes than Elon Musk some years. I also think groceries are just way too expensive right now. I really like Kamala's policy to hold big grocers accountable for price gouging because I think families deserve fair prices at grocery stores. I don't think they should be starved for profits. Healthcare in this country is also just so expensive. I don't want Medicaid taken away from millions of people. I want health insurance companies to be held accountable for not denying people with pre-existing conditions like asthma or diabetes health insurance. And I also want to make sure that we can bring down prices on life-saving medications like insulin. There's just way too many mass shootings and school shootings in this country. My school actually had one last year. I'm really tired of worrying whether or not my little siblings are going to make it back home safely from school every day. Not saying we should ban all guns, but I definitely don't think it should be so easy for dangerous, unstable people to own firearms. Lastly, the impacts of climate change are here and they're clear. Seeing the impacts of Hurricane Helene here in North Carolina have just been super devastating. It's only going to get worse unless we take action, and I don't want that for my future kids or anyone's kids, to be honest. Beyond these issues, there's also just a bigger picture for me. I can't in good conscience vote for someone who's a proven sexual abuser, who literally denied housing to black tenants because of their race, and who actually also tried to overthrow the world's most powerful democracy when he lost the election and is threatening to do it again if he loses again. If you watch the news for 30 minutes, you'll see that there's just so much instability in the world, and I really think that we need a stable leader who can be trusted to listen to their top advisors and to protect the interests of the American people over their own ego or lashing out in their own interests. Even though no candidate fully aligns with my views, especially regarding Israel and Gaza, where just so many innocent people have been massacred and slaughtered and the government has not done enough to stop that, I'm still going to vote this year. So many black Americans fought and died for the right to vote, and I also recognize that there are millions and millions of people across the world who don't have the ability to participate in fair elections for the government. So yeah, I'm voting for change this year, for a safer and fair America for everybody. Let me know who you're voting for in the comments and why.
You know, it's a hell of an election season when even your therapist is like, so I'll see you after the election at the end of your meeting, and then is like, somehow it feels a little heavy this time around. You know what I mean? And whew, if it's heavy for my therapist, what hope do we have? It is wild to me that this is where we're at. This is Wednesday, right? Wednesday, which means that in 6 days, we will all be voraciously consuming news content in an effort to try to even sort of maybe guess who might become the next president. And it is going to come down to the finest of fine margins, undoubtedly. I will be watching that map, and I will be having mild panic the entire time. It may be full-blown panic. I don't know. We'll have to wait and find out on Tuesday. You know what I mean? My husband will be playing a soccer game that day. God bless him. At least he has something to look forward to. I just have election coverage to look forward to, you know? And I'm not looking forward to it. But I won't be able to stop watching. Nothing is more important. Nothing. Not a thing. Even this weather is dreary. Even this weather is saying gross. This is the worst time of year. This is an election year, an election cycle, yet another monumental one for the books. You know what I mean? I think I'm tired of having unprecedented elections or having to fight for our freedoms every second of every day. I would just like a regular election. You know, like the kind we used to have before I was able to vote. Those kind. I would love to go back to that. What was that like? Gen X booms. I'm looking at you. What was it like to vote before every election mattered? What was that like? Because us millennials, we don't really know what that was like.
Question for y'all. What are we doing on election night to actually tackle our anxiety disorders? Like, are there actual health and coping mechanisms? Because it's going to be a rough one.
I just voted for a Democrat for the first time in my entire life, and I'm in Utah, so that is very counterculture here. But since the last election, I have changed so completely as a person. I came out, I accepted my sexuality. Literally 4 years ago, I voted for Donald Trump. I was in such denial of who I was as a person, and it feels so good to have made so much progress and to have that benchmark and measure it and see where I've come. I'm not voting for a Democrat because I'm gay, but because I'm gay, it caused me to really reflect deeply within myself to see what matters to me and to actually take a look at both sides of the aisle and see who really actually has the best policies and the best plan for our country, and to not just go along with what I've been fed my entire life, that we were Republicans and that we vote for Republicans. Politics is not teams. It's not like you're born onto a team and you have to stay on that team for life. That's kind of how I felt. I'd get defensive if someone said something negative about Republican policies, until I actually sat down and learned the information myself and looked at the policies. If someone challenges a belief that you have, you don't have to be defensive. It's not a personal attack. You are allowed to learn more information, you're allowed to learn new information, and you're allowed to change your mind. Anyway, this is all to say I need 7 people to help me cancel out my family's votes for the other side. So if you're available, you don't have to cancel out your family's votes. I would love to have you help me cancel out mine.